Hi and welcome. Welcome to those on live. Welcome to those who are hearing the recording. And I appreciate so much everybody who is here and part of this Hemanti community. I appreciate being able to share these ideas of Rabbi Asher Freund, who inspires me so much, and I hope is continues to be an inspiration for everybody who he touches. So, Parshas Behaaloscha. I have personally a very special place in my heart for Parshas Behaaloscha because it was the Parshas Behaaloscha was the very first vort I ever gave in public. I remember when I was in seminary, I gave a vort on Parshas Behaaloscha, and the vort was like this. It was on the Orach Chaim HaKadosh. The Orach Chaim HaKadosh tells us that there are two ways to bring out what's inside something. We can chip away at something from the outside and create something that's inside, or we can uncover that which is by simply taking away the wrappings to uncover what's inside. And the Orach Chaim says that was what the second way is, the way that the menorah was given to Klal Yisrael. We didn't have to chip and hack away, but it was uncovered from inside. And the Orach Chaim says that's the same with the Jewish soul, is that we think that we have to bang away here and chip away there, and we have to really make something out of who we are, and we have to try and create something out that's not there. But the Orach Chaim says, no, that's not what we have to do. We have to simply take off the sort of the cloudiness and the thick darkness that's around us. And then we will be able to uncover the soul side. So just to that was a flashback to probably more than almost 30 years. I won't say exactly how many years that was. But Baruch Hashem, I think that's still a beautiful vort to tune into Parshas Behaaloscha and the gift of the menorah that Klal Yisrael were given by Kodesh Baruch Hu through Aaron HaKohen. So here we get into the words of Rabbi Asher Zecher Tzaddik Livracha. The Torah praises Aaron HaKohen, and so Rabbi Asher asks, what was the praise? What would we, if we would imagine the Torah praising Aaron HaKohen, what would the praise be? We could say about a great person that he was a tzaddik and that he fulfilled mitzvahs beautifully, that he served the Kodesh Baruch Hu, that he feared Hashem, and other praises in line with those kinds of words. But that's not what the Torah says about Aaron HaKohen when it praises him after the work of the menorah. In this parsha, the Torah praises Aaron HaKohen, and what's the praise that the Torah says about Aaron? Seems to be the greatest praise that sums up everything that Aaron HaKohen did, that he was the tzaddik foundation of the world, that he brought about Yeshua's for Klal Yisrael and those kinds of things. Certainly, Rabbi Asher says that Aaron HaKohen incorporated within his holy being all of those praises as well. But that's not what the Torah says. So how does the Torah phrase him? With three simple words. Vayas Kain Aaron. And Aaron did so. Meaning he fulfilled the word of Hashem, and he did exactly what he was told in the preparation of the menorah. That when it came to the mitzvahs of menorah, he did exactly as Hashem commanded him, not more and not less. He didn't add anything on. He didn't take away from the mitzvah that was given to him. He did exactly as he was commanded. And as Rashi brings down, Lahagid Shivchei Shel Aaron Sheloi Shina. This was the praise of Aaron. Okay, that's why this phrase comes, that Vayas Kain Aaron, that Aaron did exactly that, what Hashem told him, to say the praise of Aaron, that he didn't change, he didn't alter in any way from what he was told to do. And the Torah praises Aaron in this, that he did exactly what he was told. He didn't do differently. He didn't add on. He did not embellish the mitzvah of Hashem in any way. And this is the short, concise praise of Aaron that the Torah brings down. And Rasha says this includes all of the praises that could be spoken about Aaron HaKohen. So those of us that, we aspire to keep working on ourselves and do things, and we want to make sure that we're really doing everything the way that we're supposed to. We might say, really? That's all? Just to do what he was asked? Not to do even more, not to try and take a hint and add on and embellish in any way. Really? That's what we're supposed to do? There has become some confusion in our generation, and I heard this from one of my rabbanim, that we have confused the halacha with midas chasidus. We have confused what we have to do with the midah of going beyond the letter of the law and what midas chasidus is. So here Rav Asher is now going to explain to us various different levels. So the story is told about a chassid who came to his Rebbe and he asked him, how do we become a tzaddik? How can you achieve the level of being a tzaddik? And his Rebbe answered him, learn in great detail the 4 orders of the Shulchan Aruch and keep exactly what it says there. Learn the Shulchan Aruch and keep it. And that's it, said the chassid. Yes, said the tzaddik. And halavai, that you should be able to keep all of what it says in the Shulchan Aruch. And if you do that, your level will be greater than a malach. Your level will be greater than an angel. If you manage to keep exactly what it says in the Shulchan Aruch, meaning the basic Jewish law. If you can keep all of the tenets, the basic tenets of Jewish law, you will already be higher than an angel. And then another story. A person came to a tzaddik and he asked him, how do you get to the level of a chassid? Somebody who is mischased, who is somebody who does does kindness, goes sort of beyond the letter of the law. And the tzaddik answered him, al tehem mazik, don't do damage. As the first rule of medicine is do no harm, right? Don't do harm. And they say that the unspoken rule of the Shulchan Aruch, the first rule is don't be stupid, right? So the rule of the Shulchan Aruch is don't do any damage. The petitioner, the questioner came and asked, and to ask his Rebbe, he was surprised. Really? Just don't do damage? And the tzaddik took the Gemara Baba Basra and he showed him where it says, how can a person become a chassid? L'kayim milei de nezikin. He should fulfill what it says in Nezikin. Nezikin is the entire tractate dedicated to damages, how not to damage people's property, how not to create damage to anybody at all. A chassid is the person who fulfills as is proper all of the laws of damages. A person who learns and is an expert in the Shulchan Aruch, Yeridea, and Choshen Mishpat, he knows and he sees how easy it is and how often people stumble in these laws when they work with other people, when they live next to their neighbors, in their business, and how they approach or everything that they go out and buy, whatever they go and buy. And in every area, between Adam l'chaveroi, between people, there are halachas. There are piles and piles of halachas of how we should not create damage to other people. And so, the praise of this great person of Aaron HaKohen was in this, that he fulfilled the halacha and he did not change anything from what he was told as what is written in the Shulchan Aruch what we're supposed to do. And the Torah comes to show us again that the basic letter of the law, let's start there. And all of this movement to do more and be more, let's start with the basic halacha. Let's get it right. Let's not damage other people. Let's not talk lashon hara about somebody else, but let's not let somebody keep using people who are workmen who don't do a good job, because we're not willing to tell a person that that this is not a good workman, because that way we're going to be the Torah cares about the parnasa people, and the Chafetz Chaim went into great detail to tell us how we're supposed to let people know if a person is if we shouldn't be giving up our business to a person who is negligent and creates damage to other people. So we need to learn the halachas. We need to know the laws of everyday life, of how to avoid speaking lashon hara, but how to say lashon hara for to'eles, for a purpose, when we need to. We need to learn the halachas of neighbors. You know, when if my children want to play music late at night, you have to tell them, we have neighbors. You have to be considerate about your neighbors. You can't damage things that are public property. You have to tidy up after yourself. There's certain basic laws. And so a person, you might think that if a person davens with tremendous intention and all kinds of apparently holy actions, but they're not fulfilling the Shulchan Aruch, then they're not a chassid, okay? They might be a foolish chassid, but that's not being a chassid. So the beginning is to learn how to do halach and how to create no damage. And so this drive that we find to go beyond and to be more, how do we manage this yetzer hara that's constantly telling us we're not doing good enough, we're not doing enough, we're not enough? How do we help ourselves manage this challenge of feeling like we're not enough? So we have to understand that probably at some point in our lives, we got the message that we're not enough. Somebody told us that if we didn't get good enough grades, that they expected more of us, and they were disappointed in us. So maybe we felt that if we feel like no one's paying attention to us, or we're not getting some things that we need, so we tell ourselves it's because I'm not good enough. If I was good enough, then people would be paying attention to me, then I would have my needs met. And so we tend to internalize the message that we're not good enough. Maybe if I did more, maybe if I was more, maybe if I gave more, maybe if I did more good or was better, then people would notice me, give to me. I would get my needs met. And this can set us up for a lifetime of feeling like we're not good enough, and of black and white thinking. Black and white thinking comes out of that I'm not good enough, because it's either if I don't get it, it means there's something wrong with me. So I either get it right or I got it wrong. And there's no middle ground. But the middle ground, that's where we grow. We're always in the middle ground. We usually don't get something completely wrong. Okay. Usually we get something some way right. But even if we get something totally wrong, I don't know how many of you know the story of Rabbi Akiva, that not the regular story about Rabbi Akiva. Yeah, we know that Rabbi Akiva, when he was 40 years old, that was when Rachel, his wife, convinced him to devote himself to learning Torah, and he went off to go and learn with young children, and he was embarrassed, but gradually he became a big Talmid Chacham. But on the way, while he was on his journey, at one point, there was a mace mitzvah that Rabbi Akiva was out in the outskirts of the city, and he found a mace mitzvah. That means a body of somebody who had died and was unidentified, and he picked up the body and he brought it into the town in order to bury it and give it a full Jewish burial. And when he told the Chachamim what he had done, they told him that actually there was going to there was terrible suffering for that mace all along the way, and that the halacha, the law, is that a mace mitzvah, you bury it where you found it. And here he had carried the mace mitzvah all the way into the city, and every step of the way he had done an avera. This is Rabbi Akiva on the way to becoming Rabbi Akiva. And the Torah, the Gemara doesn't hold back from bringing down the story of this really terrible failure of Rabbi Akiva to teach us all that on the way to becoming who we can be, we're going to have dramatic kinds of failure like that sometimes, and sometimes we just won't get it completely right. But sometimes we judge ourselves against standards that are actually really beyond the average expectation. We create extremely high expectations of ourselves. We expect that we should be able to do everything, that we should know how to do everything. And if we don't know automatically how to do everything, we think that we're a failure. And on the other hand, we so we have high expectations. We think that we can do everything, but then we feel like, oh, but I don't know, and we have low self-esteem, and we don't really trust ourselves, and we think that we can't do everything. So we expect that we should be able to do everything, but then we have low self-esteem and often lack belief in ourselves to begin. And so, as Rav Asher explained, our whole lives, we find ourselves in this kind of slingshot between pride and despair. The pride is, I should be able to do it better. That's pride. Okay. Again, this is such an incredible hack and a life hack to realize that that's pride. The expectation that I should be able to do it perfectly is pride. Why should you be able to do it perfectly? Rabbi Akiva made massive mistakes on the way to becoming who he was. Why should we expect that we should be any different? Why should we have the expectation of ourselves that we should be able to get everything right away? So that's pride. And because we expect of ourselves perfect performance, and that we should have perfect faith in Hashem, and perfect trust, and perfect kindness, and be able to do everything. And when we don't do that, we think, oh, I'm nothing. It's either I'm all or I'm nothing. If I'm not that, if I didn't get it right, if I'm not all of that, then I'm nothing. I'm not worth anything. And then we sink into despair. If we got something right, if Hashem helped us to succeed, and something was really went well, we think, wow, I must be great. I wonder why I worried so much. And we fall into pride. And when we fail, we make a mistake, or it doesn't work out, we think, oh, I must be terrible. And neither is true. It's not that we're wonderful, and it's not that we're miserable. It's not that we're the greatest bee's knees, and it's not that we're miserable and failing at everything. We're in the gray area of we're normal, we're trying, we get some things right, we get some things wrong, and we need to aim for the standard of the Shulchan Aruch. Aim not to create damage, aim not to hurt people, aim not to overcharge, aim not to pay ribis or charge ribis, aim to give back the loans that you take. It's horrifying to hear about people who just don't pay back loans, or they're damaged to neighbors' apartments and they don't feel responsible. People who could witness frank abuse and not step in to protect. The Torah is created to protect the weak. The Shulchan Aruch was written to protect the people who don't know who can't protect themselves, and that's what we're here to fulfill, the Shulchan Aruch. So let's I don't mean lower our standards, but let's put our standards now into an appropriate level. Let's hope for ourselves to keep the halacha the way Hashem wants, just as Aaron HaKohen didn't change what was commanded of him. So Be'ez Hashem, we won't change what is commanded of us, and we will get to know what's commanded of us. And we won't imagine that we have to find madrigas. We won't seek levels that may be beyond us. First, let's get the halacha in place. First, let's get do no damage, do no harm. Fulfill the mitzvahs the way that we're supposed to. Give tzedakah the way that we're supposed to first to our family, to those who are in need. Aniye irecha koidmim, those of your city, those of your family, and those of your city. They come first rather than giving tzedakah in ways that may be impressive to other people, but maybe mibsarcha altis ale. Maybe it means you're actually turning away and ignoring those who are closest to you, who actually need the tzedakah more. There's so much in the Shulchan Aruch. Thank you for saying that. It's that the Shulchan Aruch saves us from all of these excesses and from all of the pride, and brings us down into how do we bring Kodesh Baruch Hu into this world? Through the Dalat Amos of Halacha, through learning the Halacha, through knowing how to keep the Halacha in thought, in speech, in deed, how we're supposed to fulfill the most lofty mitzvahs, such as making the menorah, and how we're supposed to keep the most mundane mitzvahs, such as which shoe to tie first. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to keep all of these mitzvahs, and that's how we become holy people. That's how we become Am Kadosh. That's how we become Tzaddikim. That's how we become Chasidim. And Be'ezah Hashem, when we stop ourselves from being in this kind of slingshot, or we realize that even if we find ourselves in this back and forth of, wow, it was successful, I must be great, oh yeah, I failed, I must be terrible. Even when we find the Yetzer Hara comes into our head with those thoughts, we can remind ourselves, yeah, that's the human nature. That's the experience that we have of being thrown between these two extremes. And our job is to, as that story unfolds, and as we find ourselves thrown between these two feelings, to recognize that's the human experience. I don't want to blame myself for those moments, but then to bring myself into the realization, it's all a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Whether I was successful in something, it's all a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And if it feels that it was unsuccessful right now, it's also all a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And the moment Hashem wants me to succeed in something, I will. And the moment it's better for me not to succeed in this right now, I won't. And no matter how much effort I put in, at the end of the day, everything is a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And I need my struggle, and my job is to be a good yid, is to fulfill the mitzvahs, veloy, and not to change, and that alavai should be written about us. Vayas, Cain, Aaron. Moshe did, Aaron did, as Hashem commanded. May we be zeicha to do as Hashem commanded. Anybody has any questions, I will look into the chat. I see. Thank you for being here, everybody. Lovely to hear from you.
Thank you so much.
It's so sweet of you. Thank you for speaking up. Lovely to hear you.
Thank
you so much.
I'm driving, but thank you. Have a good Shabbos, everybody.
Great. Good Shabbos, everybody. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate everybody that's here. Have a wonderful week. Good Shabbos.